Short of triggering nuclear annihilation, it's hard to imagine that history will prove any of President Trump's actions more reckless or destructive than the decision to start a war with Iran. In an administration brimming with law-breaking, lies, mistakes, cover-ups, power grabs, and unconstitutional actions, this is Trump's most dangerous and deadly gamble yet. Secretary of State Marco Rubio admits that Israel basically bluffed their way into getting the war they've long dreamed of.
We knew that there was going to be an Israeli action. We knew that that would precipitate an attack against American forces. And we knew that if we didn't preemptively go after them before they launched those attacks, we would suffer higher casualties.
The hilarious thing is that Israel pulled this exact same scam during the Obama administration. Antony Blinken, Secretary of State during the Biden administration, says the U.S. came within about 30 minutes of having a war with Iran because of the exact same Israeli pressure tactics. Last time this happened, Obama called their bluff and Israel did not attack Iran after all. The release of the Epstein files cannot be dismissed as a factor in President Trump's decision to launch this unprovoked war. In saner times, the mere suggestion that another country might blackmail an American president into starting a war should be enough to prompt congressional inquiries, if not immediate impeachment proceedings. Instead, the fog of war has provided an opportunity for Trump's Department of Justice to delete at least 65,000 Epstein files from public view. Even if Israeli blackmail was not a factor in Trump's decision to attack Iran, many see the move as an obvious attempt to distract from Epstein embarrassment and possibly stimulate a rally around the flag boost in presidential approval. Recent online propaganda moves only lend more credibility to this view. Israel wants this war because Iran is the #1 impediment to Israeli fantasies of total dominance in the region. They call it the Greater Israel Project. A vision of Israel's borders and influence expanded far beyond the disputed borders of the West Bank or Gaza to include Lebanon, Jordan, parts of Syria, Turkey, Iraq, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, even Iran. From time to time, this patch worn by an IDF soldier goes viral again. It shows a map of Greater Israel with the words, "the promised land of Israel" in Hebrew. The idea goes back to Genesis chapter 15, God's covenant with Abraham. In a country where one of our own American congressional representatives wore an IDF uniform into the U.S. Capitol, it should come as little surprise that figures inside our government back this vision of Greater Israel. U.S. Ambassador to Israel Mike Huckabee shocked Tucker Carlson by asserting on television that Israel had a biblical right to essentially the entire Middle East, and that it would be fine if it took it all. Yet, as Chris Hedges points out, Israel isn't strong enough to do this on its own, not by a long shot. He writes, "This is not our war. This is part of Israel's demented vision of Greater Israel, of dominating the Middle East. But Israel needs our military, our taxpayer dollars, our weapons to do it, and we've handed them the keys to our formidable arsenal." Territorial expansion is Israel's dream. You already know how they've been carrying out that vision in Gaza. But did you know they're using the current Iran war as an opportunity to accelerate expulsion of Palestinians in the West Bank? Independent journalist Andriy X has been documenting this extensively. His videos show a common tactic Israeli settlers, Haaretz calls them terrorists, who spend their days harassing Palestinian families. The Israelis spray bear spray into farmers' bedrooms at nights. The Israelis assault Palestinians with headbutts and rocks and insults, hoping to provoke them while Israeli police and IDF soldiers stand watching. Israeli authorities will only step in if the Palestinians are pushed into fighting back. Behold, our greatest ally. You can see this exact strategy played out right now in the war with Iran. Israel provokes Iran, launching attacks only because it has the protection of the United States standing by. Israel wants this war way more than the American public. Early polls showed a 60-40 split against the war in the U.S. Only about 20% support feeding American ground troops into Persia's mountain fortress meat grinder. This should matter in what America's political class calls the world's greatest democracy. Israeli support for the war is at a strong 82%. Israelis are also using this moment to attack Palestinians in Lebanon. Capital Beirut has been under heavy attack by Israel, and more than 800,000 people have been forced from their homes in the last couple weeks. A large-scale invasion could happen soon. And let's not forget about Gaza, under renewed attacks, where Israel has killed more than 660 Palestinians since the October 10th ceasefire agreement about 160 days ago. That's more than 4 people a day killed in multiple daily Israeli violations of that ceasefire. Jon Stewart had some fun at Iran's expense. In his first appearance after the war began, he poked fun at Iran for attacking other Gulf states, saying, "You know, having been in a bar fight or two in my life, I'm pretty sure the worst thing you can do during a 2-on-1 beatdown is slap everyone else." Stewart misses the fact that Iran was mostly attacking U.S. military bases in Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, and Bahrain. An Iranian spokesman, Ismail Baghai, noted, "We've said many times that we feel no hostility toward any country in the region, toward the UAE, Bahrain, you name it." He continued, noting that attacks against military bases and U.S. regional assets were legitimate under international law, specifically invoking self-defense under Article 51 of the UN Charter. It turns out the Iranians have a much stronger legal case than the U.S. Wars of aggression are considered the supreme international crime, according to the Nuremberg Charter, used to prosecute Nazis after World War II. The Charter also says the fact that a person who committed an act which constitutes a crime under international law, acted as head of state or responsible government official, does not relieve him from responsibility under international law. Which means that President Trump is unquestionably a war criminal. And he isn't even bothering to hide it. In a move unprecedented in American history, there's been little to no attempt to justify this war to the public. As Senator Andy Kim told Politico, this is an example of the president deciding what he wanted to do and then making his administration go and find whatever argument they could make to justify it. About the best defense the administration has against this is purely rhetorical. As Richard Haas of the Council on Foreign Relations said, war with Iran was preventative, not a preemptive war. Good luck with that defense. No single person should ever be able to launch an unprovoked war of aggression. That was one thing the Constitution was supposed to prevent. Since our Constitution and the Congress are not up to the task of stopping presidential crimes like this, both should be replaced with something better. President Trump and Israel have clearly bitten off more than they can chew. There's a real possibility of losing this war. America is blowing up school children. Formerly stalwart allies are refusing to help. This war has barely started, and it is a total disaster. Unprovoked, illegal, unnecessary. Donald Trump has brought shame to this great nation. Please give a like, follow, favorite, repost, and follow my link tree to sign up for my Substack, where you can find all the links supporting this piece and plenty of other great things to read. Let's make them pay.